There we go. Now we're talking. Alright, let me move my webcam down again. There we go. Okie dokie. Let me get my chat up. Okay. Here we go. Alright. So first things always first. Everyone can hear me okay? I see that you guys can probably see me alright. I'll move this down a little bit closer to me, the microphone. I'm going to revisit an older project. That's right, the X-Wing. I really want to get this done because I want to... My little office here, I want to put a little battle scene over my head between X-Wings and TIE Fighters. So last month I was working on the Johnny No. 5 inspirational sculpt. So I figured, you know what, let's go back and revisit an old model, you know. Let's pull it out of the sculpting graveyard and start doing some new stuff here, right? For this. So for me, it's time. Let's go ahead and do that. So we just need to finish some things up in here, a little bit on the wings, and then we're going to start moving on into the middle area of the X-Wing. Can you guys let me know that you hear me okay, just to make sure you do hear me all right? Can I just get a little whoop whoop, thumbs up, a little look up here, look at me actions happening would be great. Just so I know before I start diving in, and I think you all can hear me. And I don't know for sure. At least on my side, it shows everything's fine. Bouncing good. Ready to go. So we are going to sculpt this area in here, I think, is what we'll do. We'll do the same thing, I think, what we did in here. So let's look. I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I touched this. Okay, yeah, we do have a morph target. I'm going to use my chisel brush. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll use this one. And we'll convert it to Z-add. Yes. We'll do this. Okay. Can hear you fine. Thank you. Loud and clear, Kat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've got a nice little reference here for me, right, that I like to use. I'm a big fan of this. If I'm usually replicating something that we all know and love, I tend, and if something's available to purchase, I do it. Right? It's images is one thing for sure. It's nice to have, but it's always nice to have something physical. So I'm loosely, obviously, looking at this as my guiding principle for everything that I'm doing on this. So, and then again, just to recap this guy, okay, we've got symmetry on on both sides, but it's actually array mesh. So this doesn't actually exist there, and neither does the bottom. So I've done this because in this case, right, so here, if we just solo this out, and we're just looking at this now, okay, so if I now say, hey, let's turn on local symmetry, and so if I want to like do, say, something like this, see it's happening on there, and then of course I'm going to get it there as well, okay? And then what's nice of this, I also want this on the bottom. So we can say, hey, let's see, we can go Y on this, and then so when I do this, we also get it on the bottom. Okay, so this is one of the main reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, for sure. Okay, so let's undo this. Let's take a little bit, oops. Let's bring an image in, as always. I like to always still have some images in my ZBrush world. So I'm going to bring in a texture image here of a render I just did of this, just so I always, as I'm hiding and showing things, I like to have an image available for me, right? All right, here we did this render. Let's bring this into Spotlight. Okay, there it is. Let's say we don't need it this big. Okay, let's make the opacity 100%. And then let's also go to color here, paint. I'm just going to fill so you guys can see this. Fill this with a color. And then now let me swap it. And then there. And then now we can place this. Let's go even smaller. We don't need this much. Whoops. And I don't want to do that. Okay, let's move this. I think that's probably a good enough spot. There we go. Go back to the color here. Back to here. Then I'm going to, in the brush palette, where did my pen go? Lost my pen. Where did it go? Man, I swear. We need to make these there it is. The dark pen and then on the dark desktop. Never a good combination. So modifiers, I'm sorry, not modifier, samplers, and then we're going to turn off the spotlight projection. So I'm just going to use spotlight as kind of like an inspirational thing. Hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm striving for. And also, it shows me where I'm starting today and where I end today. We'll see what I get and where I go on this, right? So because I want to work on this section here, I'm going to take just a quick look at this really fast for me, just to get an idea of what I want to do. Okay, we're going to go somewhat larger, and then we go a lot larger. Okay, so I think we can go a little bit bigger. Let's go to a brush of 10. Let me see how big that is. Okay, I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger. Let's go 15. I think that might be too much. Yeah, I think we'll go for 15 for the other. Okay, so let's go, whoops, let's go with a size of 12. I'm going to go 9. Okay, so first things first, let's put something from here to here. Let's put something like that. From there to there. Okay, I don't want what's happening here. So because we have a morph target, I'll switch to a morph target brush, and let's just morph out this portion that I don't want happening in the front here. I want something more around like that happening. Okay, the rest of it, we'll go in here a little bit. Let me undo that. Let's go with a smaller draw size on this. I'm going to morph out some of this. Personal preference here. Okay, good. Okay. I feel like, you know what, I should probably do these last because I don't think I have them in the right spot. For me personally, in fact, looking at it, I don't. I definitely don't. All right, so actually, let's undo all of this for sure. Let's see. Hello. All right, I see some questions. Yes, Kat, I do have subdivision levels right now on this because I'm sculpting now on this, right? And so I want to use this brush sculpturally on it. So that is why I have that. So I did a session on this where I did do streams where I was making this from scratch. It was months ago, though, so I'd have to try and find it for you. Couldn't say when we will put Spotlight yet on an iPad. Can't say yet when we'll be doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to brush 9, and I want this to fit. I want this to live more here, so I'm going to click. All right, I don't want morph. I want chisel. Okay, then I want to go probably from here, draw a straight line, and again, go to our end. So something like that works for me. All right, if I want to be, in fact, planar, let's see, the planar could even be a good brush for this. Yeah, let's stay away from and then we can flatten those out. Interesting. There must be, oh, there is a little bit of a gradient. I mean, there's a little bit of a dip there. So let me see if we can use this normal. Yeah, that's better. We'll use that normal. So if I get morph target, we'll just use the planer brush to flatten that out. That works for me. Good, good. Let's clear it. I just noticed when I was working on this, a little imperfection here. Might be able to see if I still, yeah, we'll morph this out. I don't want it coming up here. So we'll just morph it back. Easy peasy. I am going to 3D print this out, but it's going to be relatively small, right? It's not going to be gigantic of a print, for sure. Okay, you never know. I kind of like, I'm looking at my reference and I'm just looking at what I'm doing. I'm thinking I'm probably putting those not in a good spot either. Actually, the more and more I look at it. Well, I'm going to do the center ones first because I think I am more or less. Let's see, we got my morph target on. Yes. Let's morph it out. Okay. All right. I'm going to do the middle section first. The more and more I look at this. So we're going to go brush. We're going to go back to that chisel. I'm going to do a draw size of 15. Let's go ahead and make our lives a little bit easier. Let's mask off here. Okay, interesting that. Hold on. Let me mask off all of this. Okay, there we go. And then, let's see. Let me see. Why am I looking at this one? I'm not even looking at the right one. Come on, people. Look at the right one. All right, so let's... Okay, chisel. Let's take this. Let's make our job easier. Why not? Let's mask this off. Let's inverse this. So we got that. In fact, actually, let me redo that. Okay, I think... Let's do this, actually. And then that way we can hide this, because the only part I want to work on is this. So we'll just use masking to get us to that, right? Why not? Okay. Let me look at 15 again. Is it just extreme? I think that's a little too extreme. I'm not going to go that big. I think 12 is probably, let me put it next to here. Let me put it up to here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. That'll work for me. Okay, and now let me see. So we got these big barrels. I fit in between, I would say, between my larger. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. So then we're going to have, it doesn't actually go all the way to the end. Okay. Goes a little bit. All right. So we're going to go from, we want to align with this. We're going to go from here, I'm going to say to there is what I'm going to do for those. Then we need going across and then down. Okay. So we need some smaller ones. So let's go smaller. Let's go brush size of 8. And then this is going to live across here. So let's just go right across here. Then we have that. And then we need a V from the middle section here going up. I want to say about this high. Okay, and then we're going to go with a bigger brush size now. And let's add a little bit more. So let's go size. Let's go 14. And let's come in here and brush across here. Okay, I'm going to turn lazy mouse off for now. Okay, no, I want lazy mouse on for sure. Okay, so let's go from here to here. That's too much. It's too much. Still too much. That's better. Let's go something like that. In fact, let's just go here to here. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, good there. All right, and then I need from here to here. Let's do that. Then let's put one in the middle. Okay, we need one in the middle. Let's go size. Let's go 13. Then let's go back down to 12. And let's go from here to here. Something like that. Okay, and then let's go a little bit smaller. Oops, and we'll go from here to here. Start breaking that up a little bit. Let's put on the end here, let's go back to our bigger size. Let's put 15. Okay, and I'm gonna go from here to here. No, I don't like that one. Let me look at it this straight. This is the difference of sculpting instead of, I could have made a brush that does stuff like this too. Okay, I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to turn off X. And then we're going to go to morph. So let's select that morph brush again. And I'm going to now mask off to here. And now I'm going to morph this backwards. Just have some asymmetricalness to this as well. And have something like that. Okay. So now we have that. Let's see. Sigma. How to start in 3D. Have you ever touched any 3D application at all? Because obviously starting in 3D, if you're in 2D and you're doing stuff in 2D, coming to 3D is not that far-fetched. There's a lot of artists that have transitioned from 2D into 3D, for sure. It has happened for a lot of people. It's not too bad. I'd say, even if it's you're learning sculpting and you're just learning ZBrush in general, I always say keep it simple. Start off very simple with certain projects. Don't try to do something too complicated. That tends to, just make it harder. And what I mean by that is, hey, let me just sculpt a human skull, right? Let me sculpt a finger or an ear or a nose, right? Those kind of things. And then you're nibbling it off. And that gets you just the basics of just understanding 3D, moving around, understanding navigations. Because going from 2D to 3D is different. 2D's only got really zooming in and zooming out and moving around your document space. You got 3D, you got rotations, you got camera angles, you got perspective to think about. The camera itself has perspective built in it. So there is a little bit more to it. So I would recommend, you know, things like that is what I would definitely think about before you start moving forward with anything. That's just my humble opinion, I would say. I'm sure other people in here could share some more for you. But that's how I would start, honestly. Hopefully that helps you. But let me know if it doesn't. I'm here to answer what I can for questions. Happy to help. Okay, so we want now back to the chisels. We're going to do this, and I'm going to go from here to here. Let's go. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with that one. So go from here to there. Okay. And then now we've got that. Better. How close was this? Mine's maybe. We're good. Sometimes it's good enough. I'm going to take. All right, let's see. I'm just looking. I'm thinking. I'm going to drop this down. I'm thinking. I want to see what this looks like. I'm going to take this and this. Let's mask everything else out. I'm intrigued what this is going to look like, actually. Let's switch to radial. Let's go full on. Yeah, look at that. It's a sphere. We're going to want it along the Z. Yes. And let's then switch to a bevel flat. And I want to go from here to here. Let's see. Kind of want to put a little bevel on this, I think. Let's go bigger. Yeah, I'm going to go that route. I just like that little bit of... I don't like the solid line right there, so I'm going to go with that. Let's see how this is all coming together on our whole thing. Okay, good. All right, so now what I need to make a mesh here really quick. Let me see what way I want to go about doing this as well. Great. Kat, thank you for asking some more questions to Sigma. Great questions. Do you want a 3D print? You're making 3D images, movie type? Great questions. Thanks, Kat. There we go. And then now let's take, I'm going to duplicate this because now I'm going to do a different technique. Just changing things up. I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to delete our subdivision levels. I don't even think we need to be this high. Like a million's probably enough. Okay. Brush, curve, tube, snap. Where are you? Curve, tube, snap. There we go. And then let's go from, let's make it 5. Let's go with a smaller brush size. Let's kind of see where this, okay, this goes all the way into there, comes all the way to like that. All right, so I would say I'm going to go from here. Oops. Let's do stroke, curve. Let's do as a line for sure. Okay, and I'm going to go from this area. I'm going to draw out a line, and I'm going to go to there. Okay. Getting that there, getting that there. Okay, we need, though, we need symmetry on. and not radial. And let's just do only Y right now. And again, whoops, I don't need to hold the shift key. I turned on as line. Draw this as a straight line to there. That works for me. Good to go. All right. Let me relook at this of what I'm doing. Okay, so it needs to sit a little on top of a squared item. All right, so now we're going to take this. This is the only thing we need now. We're going to do a delete hidden. We can unsolo. And then now, at any time, I can say, I'm going to take this. I don't want searching. I'm going to make this go a little bit further here. I'm going to go up that far. Okay, and then I want, at the end, kind of end play. I'm going to go with something of my own here. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's just flatten this really quick. So I'm going to use clip curves or just flatten this at the end. Whoops, not V. Something like that is good. Let's switch to ZModeler. Let's polygroup. I'm going to polygroup this, but let's do it by the polyloops. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger on this. I turned symmetry off. Okay, and then we'll Q mesh by polygroup, and let's have this inflate out. Something like that. Let's see how big that's looking. It's not bad. Let's go bigger though. Let's go more in that world. And then let's take this. Whoops. And let's polygroup, polyloop it. Let's change the polygrouping that. Let's go here, 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 here. Let's see how far down the rabbit hole. That's good enough. And now let's switch back to this. And then let's make this be even skinnier there. So then we have something like that. Okay. I'm going to make it come all the way to... Sorry, let's have all this move more. I want it to come all the way to the butt up like that. Okay, that looks good. Now we have that. Turn on dynamics. Subdivisions. Let's take a look at this. Let's have a little bit more fun with this. As if this is even going to 3D print. Depends on the size. I'm going pretty small. This is just me doing me things. I would say this. Let's even bevel this in. Let's add a nice bevel here now as well. Okay. Golden. Let's go ahead and crease. I'm a big crease fan. Crease by the polygrouping in there. So now when we do this, we get something a little bit more like that. Crease level of 2 is good. Dynamic of 4 is good. So that's what we look and like. Okay, let's turn this off. Okay, that is working for me. Okay. And then now, I might as well just, like, we could sculpturally just do this. There's so many ways to go about this, really. Let's go back into this, and let's turn symmetry on again. We're going to turn X on and Y on. And let's make a little box. Let's go, like, say something like that. Looks good enough for me. And now let's just do an inflation. So this is the sculptural way. I could have added that other piece of geometry as well. But, you know, sometimes I like to experiment. Okay, so 10 is too much. So let's go 5. 5's too much too. I don't like 5. Let's go 3. Yeah, there, I like 3. Okay. And then let's switch to this. Let's just do only X. No, let's only do Y. Let's see if now, let's see what we got. We got that. What if I give it also a little bit of a taper? Okay, yep, that works for me. All right, we're good. That, to me, I can move on. That's good enough. Again, I'm going to print this at a different scale, different size, right? So that one's looking good. You made an X-Wing in Maya 7? Okay, wait. When I think Maya version 7, you're meaning 7 years ago. I really appreciate like someone tackling, and then a ZBrush was really someone was. Oh, thanks. Here to help, William. I've done an X-Wing, so I decided. I mean, I've done a TIE fighter already in ZBrush, so I figured I might as well use an X-Wing. I don't think AI is going to replace artists personally. Now, I think, listen, AI's got all of its stuff that it can do and things they have, but deep down, for me, I'm an artist. I've been my whole life since a kid, right? And for me, I like this is part of what I like. I like creating and being the one that's doing the creation and going through these hurdles. It's a journey for me personally, right? This is definitely a personal preference thing. That's just me. I'd rather create as much as I can than have something create it for me. Okay? And so I think that always will be relevant and important for us all too. Okay, so let's move to the front of him. This, I went bigger there, bigger there. That's done, that's done, that's done. We could, yeah, we'll stick with that. Okay, let's move to this front portion now of the wing. Let's take a look at this. See what we got here that we're going to need to make. All right, there's some interesting elements happening in here. Okay, so there's a couple things we need to make. Okay, let's start making a brush. Let's start making an insert mesh brush of these parts to make it faster for us to move along. I see a couple things in here. This is where I wish I had a magnifier. This particular 120. I'm gonna make some decisions here for myself. All right, let's start making. Okay, let's start first with that one. Okay, I think we'll go with a cylinder. Is probably going to be our best bet. Yeah, let's go with a cylinder to make this piece. Okay, so what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to make a tool now. That's going to become an insert mesh brush for me for this project, because there are probably some repeating elements as I move along in here, so I might as well start doing it. And then also I'm making something, right, that I could reuse over and 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 over again. Why not, right? Okay, so I'm going to go something around that high. Okay, that works good. So I got to make a decision here. We're going to make this a poly mesh. My brain is fried today. Then we're going to we'll extend this out. So we got an extension like this. Maybe not that much. That's good enough. Then let's go ahead, brush insert, man. Let's do an insert, not a bevel. I'm going to want this creased automatically. We'll do an insert there. Let's do a Q mesh by polyloop. Let's bring that up. Say something like this. Okay, and then let's go ahead and put a little bit of a bevel here, a little bit of a bevel there. Let's make this be the same polygroup. Whoops, cancel. Control W, we'll make that be the same polygroup. Creasing, I don't want that creased inside. Let's crease by PG. Let's take a look at what we got rocking and rolling right now. Okay, we want the bottom to have some creasing and an edge loop. So let's go ahead and insert an edge loop here, there, and then now let's go ahead and crease that one. Okay, so now we've got that. That works for me. Let me take a look again at this, kind of what is trying to be. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm at the front of the wing. Okay. I am going to use something that already exists for me as well. Now I'm just debating what I want to do with this. Okay. This is an old feature. Okay, we're going to try this. Okay. Okay, so I'm going, it might be too low. We might need to go up a couple subdivision levels here, maybe, to do what I want to do. Let's see. Let's just see what it does. Let's auto group right now. And the only one I want is this one. And let's see. Let's go symmetrical. Let's go now to our handy dandy Z remesher and remesh this. Okay, way too dense. Okay. So this is where freeze borders. Let's see what that does. Because then it'll use, okay. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. We might need to go a little bit higher here with this in my gut, I'm thinking. Okay, let's do it. Let's go, let's undo this. Okay, and let's dynamically turn it on. And let's dynamically, let's apply these and then delete. Okay, I think we're gonna need an even more. Let's go more. Okay, I wouldn't go any more dense than this. That's pretty dense. Now let's Z remesh this with the freeze on. Let's see what we got. Okay, that works for me. Okay. And then now let's take this, and then I am going to switch to a slice. Slice circle. Let's make it be a perfect circle. So let's make it squared. And then I'm just going to go right on this side. Let's align it more. Go a lot smaller. There. Okay. And then, you know what? I'm going to mirror it over because I'm going to want it on the other side. So let's go ahead and mirror it over, and then we can mirror and weld it. Whoops. Mirror and weld it so we get it on both sides. Let's now, again, this is all, like, I'm doing extra work probably that honestly isn't necessary. Let's be honest. Let's take this one. Let's go to brush. Let's say to mesh. I'm wanting to use something old school here. That's all. Brush, insert mesh. Let's go ahead and do. Let's do. Yeah, let's do a delete flat island. Let's see if this will work. I might be going a little too much, in all honesty. Let's divide this up. Let's delete it. Subdivision levels. Okay, we're a little more dense. Let's turn this into a insert mesh brush. Okay, new insert mesh brush. Now it's an insert mesh brush. Let's go back to this. And let's now take these, and we are going to make these be different polygroups. Let's just for visual cases. There you go. And then now, right on this one, I am going to draw this out. And because I open the bottom, okay, it's got an opening. So when I do this twice, we actually weld everything together, right? So this is all welded now. It's one piece. Okay. So this is called mesh fusion, is what we called this, right? So you can see it's all welded together for me. So I'm probably not. This is probably not the best approach for this, just because I'm adding so much topology just to do this. It probably would have better just draw this out, but you know what? I'm just trying to have some fun here. Let's center this, but let's switch to this guy. A whole handy dandy. We'll switch to scale. I'm going to scale this in. Okay. So we get something like that. I'm going to push it down so we get a nice, and then let's do something just like this. Okay, and let's start looking at this. Okay, the slicing. Didn't like it. Control W. Whoops. God, I gotta get used to a Windows keyboard again for me. All right, so let's do something else here. Let's grow it out one more. Let's do a group by normals. Let's see what we get. Oh yeah, it's too aggressive. Too aggressive. Very much so. Okay. Okay, let's see what we get if we just crease. Crossed here, here, here. Is it going? Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Did this one go all the way around? Let's find out. Okay, this could help us. Let's go polygroup. Let's go fill. Yeah, okay. That's what we wanted. And then now we can grow out one. Hide these two and make this a new. Oh, God, I gotta make that's a new polygroup. And now let's take this. Oops. Let's take these two polygroups, this polygroup. Mask everything off. This isn't as clean as I want it, so let's go ahead and do a deformation. Let's do just a little polish by groups. We'll clean that up for us. I guess we can go stronger. All right, let's do this, this. All right, and then let's blur it a little bit so then we can do something like that. Okay, boom. Now we're got it. Now we're talking. Again, this is, I think, overkill, too dense in my opinion, but we're having fun experimenting. It's tough to tell what that is, so I'll put whatever I want in here then. So let's continue this idea. Let's do this, switching to transpose, hit the white circle to center it. When I'm in scale option, if you hold control and click on that last circle, it actually does an inset. So I'm gonna go inset, and then I prefer now, we'll go this way, and then we hold control, pull out that. Then I'll come here, control, push this in, and then we got something like that. There we go. And then now this will grow out once, twice, 3 times. Oops. So brush ZModeler. Let's go ahead, polygroup, flat island this. Okay, and that one. No, it's going to be too much. Just go around here. Flat island that. Up. Okay, well, in fact, it'll be faster now if we just hid these two polygroups, hide these polygroups. Oops. Oh God, it's really messing me up, this keyboard that I'm not used to. All right. Is that the only thing I have masked? And then, of course, we will Control W that, and that makes that polygroup. So then there we go. And then we'll crease. Just so we have it, we'll crease by the old PG'er, the old polygrouper, and then there we go. Okay, so now this is going to become an insert mesh brush. Again, my biggest problem with this one is how dense it is. It's 86,000 polygons. I usually stay away from that level, but I just, you know, we're streaming and I'm just trying to show you guys different things that you can do. The next one we'll do a lot lower. Because I don't even think this needed this high level. Like, this should be done with like maybe 100 polygons. So honestly, this is way too dense. But I just wanted to play with Mesh Fusion, I'll be honest with you. All right, now we need to start naming. Rename X. Okay, we're gonna call this Greeble01. Okay, and then now I'm going to duplicate this, and it automatically will make a Greeble. Or did I spell Greeble correct, everybody? I will show you how I'm changing the polygroups. Let me double check my spelling here. Right? Did I spell Greeble right? It's always yes, I did. Okay, it's a weird word. Okay, back to the chat. Okay, how I'm changing the polygroups is with the ZModeler brush. I'm just hovering over a face. I'm just switching the polygroup action. Okay, and then flat island is just, you know, looking at normals are all the same direction. So if I click on this, it's trying to find normals that are relatively in the same direction. Okay, that's what it's supposed to do. Okay. But there are other things in here. There's obviously all these. The one I was using is fill, which fill appreciates polygroups and creasing. So for example, if I was to do something like this, okay? So this blue is a border, okay? So if I click in here and I keep tapping the Alt, you can see the polygrouping. It stops at that blue polygroup. It won't go any further. And same thing, if I click here, see the blue and the orange can't be changed. It stops. It doesn't get into those. And then it also appreciates creasing. So I was taking advantage of the creasing in that to do all that. I'm switching the colors by tapping on the Alt key. So if I press, it switches and gives me a polygroup. Now I have my pen still down on my Cintiq. And now you just keep tapping the Alt key to change the color. That's it. That's all I was doing. Okay. Nameless clerk, let me know if that's answering your question for you. Okay. And while you're hearing that, I'm going to move on to my next item of here. Okay, so we're going to replace this. I'm going to delete this. So we'll center this. And I'm going to start with a cylinder 3D. Okay, I want it to sit this direction. I don't want any spans that way. Let's go a lot bigger. And let's go here. A lot longer. Okay, and then now this one's relatively easy. Okay, and then now brush ZModeler. Let's insert. I'm going to immediately add a crease. Let's go that big. All right, and then now let's do Q mesh, poly loop it up. And something like that. And then I am going to insert an edge here, insert an edge here, and then we're going to push that down. Then we're going to bevel, 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 bevel that. I like having little bevels here on the ends. I'm going to bevel this end just a bit. I'm also going to insert with no creasing, something like that. And now we have a piece like this. Let me see if I made... Probably go a little bit more. Oops. Let's switch back to this. All right. Let's move this out a little bit more. Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you. Let's move this to be out a little bit wider like that. Okay, so this is one version. Let's duplicate that. Okay, and then now let's add another piece to this puzzle here. Again, I'm going to take my own thought here for some of this. Just, it's the route I'm going. Let's take this, let's duplicate this, brush, insert. I think there's one in here that I think would be cool to use. Let's see. No. Could be cool. Could be interesting. I might make something here instead. You know what? I'm going to go this one. Okay. So now, where is that? Okay, here. Let's go with this one. So we're going to do this, and now we're replacing that. And then let's make it be on a different angle. Let's be a little bit bigger. Let's go into there. And then we need, I'm going to have it sit there. And let's mask this off and have this meet here in that realm. Okay, and let's go back and... So this is what I mean by making them, this is really, really, really low polygon, right? So what we have here is something that I can draw out over and over and over and over and over again, and it'll be fine. Let's look at this dynamically. Brush, let's see, let's crease this by the PG'er. I want that instead. In fact, did I do that with this one? I did not. Let's crease the PG'er. Okay, you always should look at what they're looking like. I don't know if I like how big this is. I think I'm going to go a little bit smaller on this, personally. Let's go smaller. I think I'm going more in that realm. That to me is more interesting. Okay. There. So that's another piece. Okay. We don't need to save. We don't need to save you up now. Hey! Okay. We definitely want, in essence, whoops. Sorry. The line of that to be the same, so I can even use the apt. I just want a general. Right? So we'll do this. Whoops. I don't need to be exact, just close enough. Close enough will be good for this brush, because it's going to sit inside the surface anyways. I'm planning to have this depth I want this to sit inside the surface for me. Okay. There's another piece. Cool. Good. Let's make another one. So let's go duplicate. And again, because I started with the name, I'm already going to get, because when I make this, I'm going to get the naming of these up here. And just to save the character, I didn't put the brackets. We could. I would have to make that decision now. Would probably be the better way to go about that. All right, so then let's take this. Let's center this. Let's go here. Let's take a cube. We're going to take a cube. We don't need this one on now. Let's size this up a lot more so we can see what we're working with here. Let's get rid of everything here. And we're going to make this be more of a rectangle shape. More something like that. And then, let me see. Okay. All right. Okie dokie. Just taking a look at one of these things, elements. Okay. Taking some inspiration from there for sure. I don't want it to be as tall. Let's use ZModeler again. Let's QMesh by the poly looping. Let's get something like that. Now let's QMesh a single. Let's make this have a hole. So we've got something like this. I am going to now insert multiple edge loops. Let's do something like that. And then I'm going to do, let's see. Let's delete that. QMesh. And we can do a poly loop. Let's make it have that. We definitely want a crease. Crispide. Okay, getting way too rounded for me, right? Let's also add a crease here. Going around there. We want creasing there. You know, at this point, let's just crease. All the edges just need to be creased. We'll just do a crease all. And then I'm always going to be a little bit lower in my crease level and my dynamic. So now it has something more like this. Let's do a mirror and weld. So it makes those corners a little different. Now this is the decision I need to make here. Do I just want to make it part of the same topology? You know what, for fun, again, being different, let's go for it. Okay, so let's also mirror and weld across the Z too, so we get that. Let's go ahead, we're going to work symmetrically in both Z and X. Let's insert, and let's do a single with crease edging. I'll hold the shift key, something maybe like that. Okay, looks good to me. Let's then insert, let's do halfway point. Boom, now we can snap. That's just amazing. And I am now going to create a little bit of a protection here. And actually to do this, let's use something else, because I also wanted to go in the center. Okay, so let me first do the half again for this. Okay, so now we've got those in the same. I don't want to change the poly grouping, so then I'm going to use this. I'm going to say slicing. You'll see why I'm doing this. There's a reason why I'm doing this. Slice curve. And then I want to make a little bit there and a little bit there. Oh, not that much. There, and then now let's crease. Let's completely crease this. Let's completely crease this. Okay. It's not bad. I would say this needs to be slid a little bit more. Yeah, probably something more around in that realm. Okay. So the reason why I did this is I want these four faces right here is what I want. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is, here we'll drop to the lower level. On the point, okay, I want to split it. And so what I want to do is this. I want to create that. and then I want another one. Okay, but I want this. I don't want this on both sides. I don't think I need symmetry. Yeah, let's only do it on one side. Okay, so let's only do a bigger one here, and then let's do, wait, I didn't turn off symmetry. Let's do a big one here, and then let's do a little one right here. Okay, so this is why I did this, because I knew I was going to make this happen, which this is going to happen to the topology. So I don't want this 5-star, 6-star, what is 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This 6-star vertex to this 6-star, these 6-star vertex to be on a defining edge of this, because then it would create bad topology. Okay? So I on purpose made those. That is why I made those edges. And then right now this, I definitely don't want that, and that creased. I don't want 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 that one creased. Like I want a more rounded result here, right? So I definitely want that creased. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Good there. I don't want that one creased. I don't want that one creased. Okay. Because what I want to do is now QMesh polygroup all. I want to pull this out. Okay, and it looks like, so this is where that polygroup fill can come into play now, right? I can do this and then click, and now those are new polygroups for me. And then now I'm going to say now the QMesh polygroup all will make more sense. So now I have, say, something like, let's go like that. Let's see, I need to uncrease this one. And I need to uncrease this one. Otherwise, we're good there, good there. So now we got this cylindrical thing coming out, right? Of that. So let's have some more fun with this, though. I'm going to say insert, increasing. Let's put another edge right here. Let's do that here as well. Let's do that here as well. Okay. And I'll put another one there. Just tighten that up a little bit. And then now let's take this. We'll do an inset, polygroup all. Let's inset this. Okay, so we get that. Then let's go ahead and we're going to QMesh, polygroup all, and now pull this way out. And let's again crease by old PGer so we get this result. And then I am going to, here now, I am going to go QMesh polyloop, make this have some kind of little ridge here. And I'm going to play with that little ridging. I'm going to just use my gizmo to kind of just move this topology around a little bit more with masking. Like I want something more in that realm, and then we'll come out like that. And then now we'll do an insert. I don't need creasing, I don't need snapping. I'll just put an edge here. Okay, and then we got that. Let's now do a bevel of this. So let's do an inset. Would make more sense. Okay, and then we're going to QMesh polygroup all, like this, and then now crease by old PGer, and then now that's what we have. That's what we have. Okay, I think that's good. This one might be a little too small, in all honesty. I think it probably would have been better off filling that more and making that one bigger. Let's just, for giggles, let's see. Whoops. Let's see what we get. I think we should go bigger. And let's make it come off like that instead. Okay. And now I'm thinking, let's do an inset here. Let's do a flat island inset. And then let's do a Q mesh, polygroup all. Actually, let's do an extrude so I don't snap it to here. And go right inside. I don't know if I like that. I think I'm gonna leave it alone. This one though, I do want to do an inset. And then I want a Q mesh. This one I do want to, and then we'll group by PG. Right, and then now let's go ahead and bevel this direction. Increase by PG, and there we go. Something like this. Okay. That works for sure. I'm thinking maybe, you know what, I want to see something. Okay, I want to try now. I want to try something here. Polygroup, polyloop it. Make that be a different polygroup. Q meshy. Polygroup all. Let me pull this out. What might want to do something more like that. Okay, and then this is taking on that curvature. This is the only problem, making everything be one piece of topology. This is what we got to live with it being one piece of topology now. And then it's also doing the bottom half. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's delete. Let's do this. Let's delete. Where are you? Polygroup all. Let's delete these faces. Okay. Now we have that. All right. So now I'm going to need to bridge across. Topo brush will do this for me. I think we'll be fine. I don't think I need to do that. So we'll go from this edge to this edge, and then this edge to this edge, and then we'll insert creasing with a half snap there. All right, and then let's see, and then let's weld the points. So we divide there, everything is connected. Good, 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 good. Good to go. All right. And then now I'll get a better result. So let's take the inside here. Let's make this new polygroups. All right, so multiple ways to do this. I'm just going to use the auto group ability here we have. I'm going to say let's polygroup by polylooping. So let's make this be a different polygroup on the top. Now when I do a Q mesh by polygroup all, I'm only bringing these into the mix. Because I want it to have a little bit more of a ridge there. All right. Let's go right around there. Okay. And then now, oops. Let's crease now. Oh yes, the bottom half. We'll fix that. Okay, we need these to be creased. So I want that corner creased, that corner creased, that creased, that creased. Okay. Works for me. Let's go ahead and close this off. Let's do a brain function. Come on. Let's do a close, concave, one line. All right, and then we can have these now just intersect like that. Now I got this. Okay, the bottom half. All right. Let's just take this and let's switch to the clip, and then now have everything meet that clipped bottom. Everything will now be flat there. Let's take advantage of this maybe. Let's insert. Why not? Let's do this. Let's Q-mesh. Nope, let's buy polyloopy. Let's add a little ridge thing in here. Okay, and then let's just make sure the corners are all creased up. We want that corner creased, that corner creased. That they're all creased up. There. Okay, there's another element for us. Let's save this tool out now, just because we've been playing with it. We'll call it Greeble 1 right now. Just we'll call it that for now. Yup, cat is correct. All right, I see nameless. Okay, I've never used polygraph fill. That's a great tip. Okay, good. Glad we're getting some stuff to you all. Are we doing on time? All right, let's now, I'm gonna make 2 more items, I think. Let's make one of the simpler ones. So again, let's duplicate this so it automatically makes Greeble 505. We are once again going to, I'm going to center this to the home, and let's again make a cube. We can definitely go ahead and crease this now. And we're going to make it more of a rectangle. Something more like in that world. And definitely going to want to insert in the middle here. All right, and then now let's again do a Q-mesh, 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 poly loop. Let's do this. Let's make it relatively big. Right now, let's just do a crease all so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm good with that. And then now, Q-mesh this, make this have a hole, crease all, so we have something like that for now. I'm thinking, let's see, oops, just let's see. Let's go a lot wider. Let's go like that wide. Okay. All right, and now let's Q-mesh, single polygon. There, let's make it look like that, because then on here, let's do an insert, multiple edges. Let's do that. Don't need this. Now we can back to Q-mesh, poly loop this up. Let's make it be like that. Okay, once again, crease all. Let's go ahead and add a slicing. I'm going to slice curve when it's masked, so it won't change the polygroups. And then I'm doing this because there's a hole in the middle. So if I just did an insert edge loop out here, I'm not going to get that same edge loop in the same location here. So that's why I'm doing that. Just so you're aware of why I'm doing that. Then I think we need a mirror and weld along the Z for sure. There, that's better. Okay. So we have something like that. And then now let's take these faces. Let's see about insetting this. Something like this. Let's shrink it. Control W. And now let me inset that. And then now let's take QMesh, polygroup all, and make this have like a little ridge like that on it. Okay. And now let's make like a little light thing. I think I'm going to make this be a little more. Let's see what they did. Yeah, they went a lot more rectangular. And I'm feeling the same thing. I'm feeling this needs to move way down. Something more like that. Whoops. And then again, we'll come across here for an edge looping. Just to tighten that corner up a little bit. And that might be too much, I think, now. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That works for me. And we got this and this and this. Let's make some kind of little light device. So let's use it as a separate thing that I can actually use more than once. And then we'll also use it on this too. Okay. All right, so good. So let's duplicate. All right, I'll center it, put it to the home center. We want a cylinder. We want one of these. You know, I've been making these. We really got to be thinking about the way I'm making these, actually. I want to be making them like that. Like I want to make sure they're that direction. That direction. Hold on. That one's fine because it's just round. And I want them all facing right now the same direction. Okay. So yes, 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 yes. Okay. All right. All right. And now I don't want it to be this tall. Definitely not. And then now let's go ahead and insert single edge loop. Let's turn the creasing off for now because the pull is a problem. It's a problem. It's a real problem. That pull is a problem. Let's insert an edge loop here. Let's go ahead and QMesh. We can just do a poly loop like this. And then now let's not have that insert. Then let's take this polygroup by flat island. And then that way I can shrink it. Oh, God damn. And make that a new polygroup. And I want this to sit inward. Something more like that. And I'm thinking I might want this to actually flex out a little bit like that. So then we get something more in that realm. Right, let's look at what our creasing we could do. Okay, I'm good with that. And then I want this to go this route. Okay, so let's then just do QMesh flat island. Something like that. Okay. And then now let's take this. Make sure I'm reset. Let's copy this. And let's use this sphere, because I want a flat top, actually. And have this sitting inside of this. Something like that. And then we don't need any of that topology. That works. I don't think we need as much topology either. Like, we definitely don't need this many spans. Like, that's probably going to be enough. And crease it up. Crease you up. Because I want that. I want a little bit of flatness. We'll insert a single edge loop. No snapping. Just to even make it live a little bit more like that. Okay, and so now this, right, is another piece. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this. And let's put 5. All right. Let's merge it down. No UVs, don't worry about that. And then now this is going to sit. We can turn this one off. Center this. But in fact, let's put it right at the center of that so that when I do this, size this down, bring this into here, come across, let's come up to about there. Okay, let's put one here, and then let's make another one right next to it. And then voila, we've got something like that. Just again, some other different shape, different greeble. So then we have this one, we have this one. They're all facing the right direction that I want. Sorry, there's a question. Hold on, coming through. Yes, we could get support on custom hotkeys. So yeah, custom hotkeys on the iPad. Yeah. There's more to it on the iPad than just what we have going on the desktop, because obviously the UI is different on the iPad, so there's different elements and different things we have to take in consideration. What I can tell you is on the list of a feature to add to the iPad. So you're using a keyboard always with your iPad? I personally don't. Anybody else using the iPad here that also uses the iPad with a keyboard? And then your question about ZModeler Fillet, you're talking about, what I'm assuming you're talking about is what you can do in other modeling applications when you guys do like a beveling or a chamfering or something like that. Like, say, for example, let's just save this. I'm gonna just save over top of it. I don't want multiple versions of this. So what I mean is, if we take this, I'm assuming this is what you mean. So if we do ZModeler and come here and we do a bridge, and yeah, we'll do a tangent. So you meaning like this kind of thing, right? Like this, but you guys want it to go all the way across. Is this what you mean by the fillet? Which I can go all the way across, but then I got to delete these faces, like, right? So this is, whoops, this is by hand work now that you're doing, right? So you guys would want this, then close, and then just close the whole. Oh, I need to delete those first. Let me delete Flat Island. Let me delete that. We need these deleted first, okay? And then this, and then this. Like, this is what you're referring to, right? You want to be able to do this, right? That's what you mean. Okay. The biggest problem is ZBrush does not support n-gons, because n-gon is not really a sculptural item, right? Where box modeling applications don't have to worry about dividing up as much necessarily with all the features that we have in ZBrush. So we have to calculate also all that stuff and all the features and all the things. And for sculpting, especially something like a Catmull Clark, you need to convert things it's better to have it either be all triangulated or all quadded when you're dividing. So n-gons is just not a friendly thing to. That's why ZBrush does not really support it. Not to say we can't do. Obviously, I just did all the steps, so we just need to kind of write something that can automate that and give you guys some control for that, right? Or B, we allow n-gons, but then it's going to need to be converted. Like, we're not going to be able to divide up that mesh in ZBrush without quads or all triangles. And in this case, you would want quads more than anything, because triangles do not, especially when you're dividing like this, where it's defining edge, it's not going to hold very well. It's not going to do well, and neither will an n-gon. You're going to have too many vertex pulling on the same thing. So that's the problems that we have to run into. Obviously, what I'm doing, it is possible on a little polygon. Like, obviously, it's a lot of steps. But to do this, you can do what I just did. But yeah, this is also on my list of things to investigate and see maybe one day we can get this kind of thing just to be automatic in ZModeler. For sure. It's definitely something that's on my list as well. Okay. No, you're not getting the answers you want, but all I can tell you is it's on the list, along with many, 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 many other things. So, there you go. All right, so let's continue on with my Greeble creations here. I think I got... Oh, yeah, I'm going to make one more here. Yep, let's make another one. All right. All right. Makes sense. Okay. This is where some interesting stuff is going to have to happen. Let's see, how much more? I'm going to see, am I at the end? Oh, I got to do the back. Okay, so as far as my wings go, I'm almost done, except for this little front part I'm working on and the back part I'm working on. Okay. Because there's some asymmetry here to the wings, right? That I'm not going to be able to do on my model because I'm using array mesh. Okay. All right. So now we have this. All right. Let's make one more. Let's duplicate that. So now we have a Greeble 7. Let's make another cubed one. Let's do that. I'll size this up. Again, the size is not really going to be that relevant because I am going to do something after I'm done all this. We'll crease everything. Oops. We'll go more rectangular like this. Let's see what the one they have on this. Okay. That looks like a phone. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to make it a lot skinnier, this one. All right. Let's turn this on. Let's go ahead and just mirror and weld across both the X and the Z. There's the X, there's the Z. Let's do Y as well. Let's just do all of it like this to hold the form a little bit better everywhere. So that'll work for me for that. And then what do I want to make a little ridge here. Do I want to go? All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's for now. Let's delete this. Let's use again QMesh, polyloopity loopity 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 loop. Let's crease all right now. That's good. Let's QMesh polygroup all. No, we're gonna need to do polygroup all and flat. Let's push this in. Let's make this be different polygroups. All okay. Now you've got this little ridge lip. Okay. Let's set, polygroup it. Let's do a set, something like this. Then let's crease all that. Let's take this, let's inset that. Give me this. And now let's QMesh, polygroup all it. And then just make it have a rampy ramp like that. And so now we've got that happening there. Let's go ahead and think about this. All right. A little bit more in that realm would be better. I just like to have, I like to have multiple levels to something. Just, it's more interesting. You know what? Actually, let's go back now that I've seen this. Let's do this. Let's do an inset. Oops. Polygroup all. Inset. Polygroup all. Kind of prefer. And now let's Q mesh. Polyloop this down. Let's polyloop this way out more. And polyloop that. Let's do a crease all. Now we need to do an inset. And then we need to do a Q mesh. Polygroup all. Make it red. There, more noticeable. Much more noticeable. Okay. Prefer that. Then let's take brush insert. I'm just going to add, I think this polysphere will be enough. Let's go to our depth, and let's put it at 0. So when I draw out, the sphere's sitting halfway in the surface. And then let's make a copy of this and do that. Okay, and then let's copy this. Come in here. Okay, that's good. Let's center it so we're right there. Let's switch to a ring. Let's go a lot bigger with the ring. Okay. I'm going to move it more to be there. Let's move it more there. And then now, I'm going to go there. Less spans. And let's go (180), and then let's have less spans there, and then we can rotate it. I'm gonna go there with it. That makes sense to me. And then brush ZModeler, crease it there, so we get that. Let's crease this one as well. Oops. So we got something more that shaped. Crease those as well. Something like that. Let's center it. Set. Let's go a lot bigger. Something like this. I'm going to push that in a little bit more. And there. Just some kind of other panel or something. That's just something different, right? Keeping it low. I'm all right with the overlapping topology because I know I'm going to end up using live booleans down the road as well. Okay, wait, where is the question that came through? Okay, if there were an option where I simply didn't have to relearn where the default keys are, it would be amazing. And other options are very expensive here. And like the tour box. Okay, the tour box is very nice. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, hold on, I'm catching up with what you guys are saying. I would like to have the option because I ended up creating custom keyboard shortcuts in the desktop version. Yep, would be great. Yep, for sure. If there were an option where I simply didn't have to relearn where the default hotkeys are, it would be amazing. Okay. All right. So you're making a custom hotkey. You're in Brazil. Yeah, it gets expensive. Like things for like tour box and stuff like that can get pricey on you. Makes sense. Okay. And then, wait, Rodolfo, you are late, but you're good. I'm loving the everyone, and they do. Yeah, plugins are a different thing. They kind of have to be redone in order to work on the iPad. They can't just be ported over necessarily. It's not going to work. So you are using iPad for jewelry. IM size for stones would be amazing right now. Okay, an actual size. Okay, and that's why you want the IMM draw size plugin, because you can set to exact millimeter size and then diameter. That's what you're going to get. Okay, makes sense why you would want that for sure. Again, see, something like that, I just want to make part of ZBrush. Forget it being a plugin anymore, right? Some of these plugins we need to get rid of, stop being plugins eventually here, and start making them be more part of ZBrush, right? That's personal preference, though. Like I think that's what we'll have to start doing and looking at. Okay, so I think I have all the pieces that I want. I've got these 7 greeble pieces. Again, I'm not going to be able to populate the wings exactly, so I'm gonna have to come revisit this because I still need to do the back of the wings, and there's quite a bit going on in the back portion that I would want to first, and it's very symmetrical, so I'm gonna want to do that first. Right, so what I was doing with these, making these greebles, was this. I am now, okay, let's turn this into a brush now. Okay, so I'm going to turn them all on. Right, so they're all just sitting here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tell ZBrush in deformation, I'm going to unify this one. That unifies it. Now in subtools, I'm going to tell it now, apply that to every other subtool. So I'm going to say apply last action all, and then okay, and now they're all unified. So what it means is they've all been reset to the center of the world. They've all been resized to be kind of the same size. Right now I have them all facing the direction that I want to go. And so now all I have to do is say brush, right? And then if I want to start doing folders here, this is then, as I build this brush out, now we can do folders in our insert mesh brushes now. And now I just hit create insert multiple mesh, and now I have these pieces ready to go. And then now, here, we will also, let's save this out right now. Let's just save that out. Now if we go back to the model, this is what I mean by I can't finish off the front of the wings yet perfectly because I'm using array mesh to do everything, okay? So what I mean by that is in here now, this wing, this portion here, right? And then this portion, I want to start adding stuff to this. I'm thinking I'm going to go, now looking at this, you know, now that I've looked at this, I think this is really, 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 really thin. It's really too thin for me. Okay, I'm going to make this be a lot thicker. I'm going to go a lot thicker. Just for the sake of 3D printing wise, I really want to make sure that is standing out a little bit better than what it is right now. I'm going to go a little bit more chunkier. And especially when we introduce these pieces here. Okay. I think that's better for me. It's just more also noticeable as well. Okay. And I think we're going to probably change this up because mine's a lot wider than what it is, but I think I'm going to have to do that regardless. Right, so what I mean is, now that I'm looking at this, also this I think needs to be a little bit. This is going to change proportions though a lot. Like, needs to be a little bit more in that realm. Like more there. Because it's more like that there, but we need it to also collide a little bit, so that's why I ended up going a little bit bigger with it. We'll have to see. You know, I'm just going to leave it for now because also it's going to be printed and I want this to be a little bit more firm as well. Okay, so again, what I mean is I am now going to say brush, insert here. I want to take this that I made and I want one of those to sit right here. And now the problem is going to be interesting. Okay, I don't want to draw out. I want to drag rectangle of them like this, and then this one. Okay, interesting. What's going on here? Let me see. Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. Let me keep hitting the Windows key. Needs to have. I changed the Z intensity accidentally. That's a problem. Okay, because I want this to live here. But the thing is, this is going to happen on every wing now, right? I don't want it on every single wing. So this is what I mean by that. We're going to have to come back and revisit all of this. And I don't want it sticking out this much. Okay, so for now, I'll just use the gizmo to push this in a little bit more. I probably want it to be more like that. Is good for me. And then let's see, they're using that, okay. And then they're using, okay, that one. And then let's take this one, and I'm going to put this one here. We'll go this route. I think this is sitting way too high for me. I'm going to have it sit way lower. Interesting. Wait. Interesting that this is on an angle. I'm going to have to double check something for sure. On the phone here. I might have picked up. Let me relook at this. I need to look at these again. Oh, it is on an angle, I think. Let's see. I think I made the cardinal mistake. I did. I did put it on an angle. Bad me. Bad me. Right? So see, it's on an angle, so it's going to draw out that way. And I don't want it to draw out that way. Okay, that's not good. That's no good, right? It needs to be, you know, right? So in essence, it needs to be like flat like that. So let me make sure I didn't mess up on any other ones before I remake this brush again. Okay, it looks like now we're good. Okay. Let's do a quick, oops, darn it. Let's do a quick save next of just where I'm at with this guy. All right, now we're going to go to the brush. Once again, brush, create insert multi-mesh. And now that I have that, now this should draw out nice and flat. Yes, it is. Okay. Now we come to here again, and in here, I want one of those drawn out. It's interesting. What is happening here? Something weird is going on when it's being picked up or something. Hold on, there's some weirdness in here. Okay. Flat, flat, flat. Flat, flat, flat. Okay, let me see. Is it what I'm drawing on now? Let me see. Let's just draw on this and see what we get. Okay, this is what I want. And interesting that. Okay, and then I want it to sit probably that close. And let's go ahead and move it more this way. Oh God, this keyboard driving me crazy. Okay, all that is good. And let's mask these off. And let's make it come further away, further out. I'm gonna make it live more like that. Then there's that. Okay, that works for me. Okay, and then I'm going to take this one. And I want that one to live right here. Okay, we'll center this. All right, let's now position this a little bit more. Let's go a little bit bigger. Find the angle that I want. All right. And then now let's use the topology to help us here. Let's align this so now I can move it like that. Definitely want this to sit further in. Something like that. Let's see, and then they've got, okay, they're aligning more with the, for them, which makes sense. That does make sense. We want to align more with the top portion of the wing. Something more like that. Then let's look at this. Let's now rotate it more like this. Let's mask that off as well, and then now let's make this be a little bit longer. A little more substance. Whoops, don't want to do that. Okay, and then let's use let's use, what does this look like if we did this? Pushes a lot more in, and then make this sit more here. Let me see what this looks like. I'm gonna go with it. It's just something else. We'll mask this off and then move these points so they're not within the engine. And we'll go with that. And then let's go back to this piece. Let's solo this out. Let me look at this. Let me look at you. Let me see what you got. La 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 la. Okay, so ZModeler, let's do this. Let's get rid of this and this one, I think. Should be good. Now let's have more. Okay. I'm looking at this and thinking about, okay, I wonder. Okay, we're going to be able to do it. Let's say this is going to be a slower process, but for what I want to do right now, I think this is a necessity. I don't need all this geometry. And it'll be easier if I get rid of this geo in here. Okay. And now let me slide this up. Oh, we're going to want also this. So we're going to want this one to move up. Move this one up, and then we're going to want all of these. To follow. Kind of. We'll go right there. Good. Brush ZModeler. I wonder what. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go there. Looks pretty good. And then again, I don't really need. I'm gonna get rid of some topology here. I want to add an element of something to this. It's just missing one little thing that I want to add. Right now the topology is not my friend. Right. And so when I now insert, let's say we'll go there. Okay, so then this one needs to slide down just a bit. Okay, so then this, let me look at it this way. I think we're going to need to go more. I think we're going to need to go this, at least this, and then extrude. Like it needs this little ridge. Yeah, it's so much better with that little ridge there. For sure. I prefer that. And then now I've destroyed it all. Oh, look at that. Look what I did there. I might, you know what, it might be better for me to rebuild this. To be honest with you. Let's undo. I'm going to look at a different way. Because me deleting this is causing, obviously, the way the topology was originally created. I think we're just going to have to go sculptural with this. Personally, I think that's what we're going to have to do. So, we'll do a mask. Right, and then let's go to a masking pen. Curve. And now I want to go from here to here. And to here. Yeah, the problem is the topology is not dense enough for me to do that. So I might want to recreate this. I think it's going to be actually better for me to recreate this little thing. And because it's going to be easy to take this cut out of here, and then I can be a lot more consistent. That's what I'm going. I'm going to recreate this because now I want to add this. The geometry doesn't support really what I want to do. Refresh. Does the model preview in the upper left? You're talking about this? No, this is just me. I kind of took an image of where I was at, and it's in Spotlight in the top left. This part, that's just top left. This refreshes, but this does not. Right? This refreshes as I move. That will refresh. Come on. See, this will see change, but this will not. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We are going to unsolo this. We're going to go to selection set 2. Okay, and the only thing I want on is this. Then I'm now going to insert a cube. And let's turn this on. Let's take this cube and get rid of this cube, and I want this cube is what I want. And now I want to now just match everything up so we can turn transparency on. So we'll go, let's shrink it down a lot. Let's just go there. There's the bottom. Okay, there, that's that. All right, let's go back to the masking pen. And then I'll go from there to there. Then I want it to go to there. Then it needs to go to here. Okay. Then let's do another loop there and another loop to the end there. Except now this needs to come up like so. There. Now this will be a lot easier and better manipulation wise for us, and then getting the round parts, that's easy. I'm not going to even worry about that right now. We'll take care of that. Don't you worry, this rounding out portion. Okay, let's now make it stick out a little bit more. And there. That way now, when we insert an edge loop, this is going to be very consistent, a lot more consistent now. Right, and so if I now do this, it will be a more consistent loop. Let's see. Might be better for us to do this with a Q mesh, so the angle's just better. Can stay much better consistency. And then now Q mesh this up to give us that ridge. Right, something like that. And then we'll push this ridge down more into there. And then bring this back up into here. Then we can crease it all. And then now I'll turn on dynamic. Have less creasing and more smoothing. And then there we go. And then now insert an edge closer to here. Closer to there, closer to there, closer to there, closer to there, and closer to there. And then now that's what we got. If I want to, actually, we can first adjust this to match closer, right, to there. And then now this move further that direction. Now have these come back to there for now. And then there. There we go. All right, and then now this, right, we're going to split this off. We're going to hide that. This is now the new main frame. We want array mesh on. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to go up 1. I'm going to copy, come back down to me, paste. And then boom, I got everything where I want it. And then now we come back to this. And now we can turn everything back on. Oh, there's stuff on that I don't want on now. And I don't want this one on. Don't want that one on. All right. So that's where I'm at. I gotta find what arrays and crap. Now I've turned everything on. Like I've been saving everything or something here. But that piece will be better served for what I'm doing. Like we don't want that on. I think I have a painted version here. Yeah, I don't want that on. There's another version there of the engine. Don't want that on. And I don't know what this is. It's got this rotational array item. There's something in here that I could probably just get rid of. No. You're here somewhere, and because it's array mesh, I don't know which one is the live one. There it is. Boom. Okay. There we go. All right. Well, unfortunately, this is all I have time for today. I got to get going out the door, but we'll save this, save that next. All right, and then we will save this out. I'll just replace it. I want that to be Greeble 1. All right, so I just saved this one. 37. Okay, let me make sure save. Oh, darn it. want this one. Save next. All right, and then so save as. This should be now 38. Yep. Okay. All right. Didn't make as much progress as I was hoping, but we're getting somewhere at least. We're making an X-wing. That's what counts. Okay. Unfortunately, I got to bounce. I got to get going to an appointment for myself. So appreciate you guys jumping in. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed some of the stuff I've shared. I will be streaming again next Friday, same time. I'll be continuing this project. So thank you for spending some time with me. Hopefully I answered as many questions as I could for you. Thank you for your time. I am Paul Gaboury with the